What's up, world? My name is Emily Smart, and I'm currently in university studying wildlife conservation and environmental management. I love what I'm learning because I love the outdoors and have always wanted to do my part in helping to protect and preserve the environment and the natural world around me because I find it beautiful and fascinating, and I always love to learn more about it. And I thought, what better way to do my part in that by teaching people what I'm learning and help to educate others about the environment. I also have always loved making videos and taking pictures. Videography and photography are part of my hobbies. So I knew I wanted to make more videos and stuff like that. So I thought, why not do that with what I'm learning? Because it can help me to practice what I'm learning and really stick it in my head, as well as helping to do my part by educating others as well. So today we're going to start off with something that seems kind of simple to me, but then again, it can be difficult at first. It took me a few minutes to learn it. But I thought I'd share with you guys something interesting that I've been learning recently. So I'm taking this course called Flowering Plant Taxonomy, which before I start, actually, not every course I take I love, but I've pretty much enjoyed all my courses, and this is one of my favorite courses, Flowering Plant Taxonomy. So I thought today I would share with you guys just a few diagrams of kind of basic flower parts, and maybe next time you're gardening or you're going on a walk somewhere or you see some flowers, you'll be able to ID the different parts of the flower and kind of get a general idea of how they reproduce. So I'm going to share my screen because I'm recording this here on Zoom, which is really handy because then I can just share my screen. So I'm going to do that really quickly and just show you guys a basic diagram of a flower. So if I zoom in a little bit here, this is the diagram I'm going to be using. I chose not to have the labels because I want to see how well I can memorize this too. But this is kind of, I believe this is a lily of some sort. But this is just kind of a basic diagram of a flower. Not every flower is the same, not everyone is alike. They're all very unique, which I find fascinating. But this is just kind of a general parts of the flower for you guys to kind of learn about. So I guess we'll start at the bottom here and work our way up. But at the bottom here, you have this stem-like structure, which is known as the pedicel. And then where the pedicel connects to this big middle structure here is the receptacle, this kind of area right here. And then you have your sepals, which are also referred to as calyx, which are these green-like leaves or green leaf-like structures at the base of the flower. And then we move into the part which I think everyone kind of knows, but these orange like structures are the petals. There's 3 here in the diagram, but normally there'd be a few more, depending on the flower species. So those are the petals, which are also referred to as the corolla. And together, the petals and sepals are referred to as tepals. So this isn't necessarily the full flower because it's kind of like a cross-section, but if you were to have a full flower here, or let's pretend this is a full flower, together they have 2 sepals and 3 petals. So together you would say there's 5 tepals. Because the tepals are the petals and sepals together. So then we'll go to this big middle structure here. So we'll start at the bottom of it, but basically at the bottom here, this round part is the ovary, sorry. This is the ovary. And then within the ovary are all these little ovules. And then this, it's not a stem, but this stem-like shape going up to the top of the female structure is the style right here. And then at the very top of it is the stigma. So for reference, these letters, so G would be the stigma, H would be the style, and I would be the ovary. And then J down here, all these little things, but then the ovary are the ovules. And together, that is the female part of the flower, which together is referred to as the pistil. So D here would be the pistil, the female part of the flower. And then we'll move on to the male part of the flower, which is C here. But first we'll do E and F. So F here, these long yellowy stem-like, again, not a stem, but they look like a stem. F is referred to as the filaments. And then E at the top here, these red-like round things are referred to as the anthers. So together, that makes the male part of the flower. So the filaments connect to the anthers, and that is referred to as the male part of the flower, which is also called the stamen. So here, for example, there would be 6 stamens and 1 pistil. So C, altogether, the male part is the stamen. So that is basically, I think I covered everything in that diagram, actually, but I'll just do it one more time for y'all. If you want to pause and guess the parts, you can. Yeah. So to review, down at the bottom here is the pedicel, which then there's the receptacle, which kind of connects with the female part to the stem-ish area, that kind of area. And then we have our green kind of little leaves at the base of the flower, which are the sepal. The orange part B is the petals. And then we have our female structure. So J would be the ovules. I would be the ovary. H is the style. G is the stigma. And then we have the male parts. Back to D. So pistil is the female part. And then E is the anthers. F, filament. Together makes the male part of the flower, which makes C the stamen. So that is a general diagram of I believe it's a lily. But in a later video, I'll probably go over a bit of IDing and maybe some specific species, maybe even some photos of flowers that I've taken photos of, so you guys can see some of the species I've captured. So I have another diagram here that's really unique because one thing that's kind of cool is with not every flower, the sepals and petals are not very easy to distinguish apart in every flower. For example, a tulip. So I'll zoom in a bit here, but this is just a basic tulip diagram. But what you'll notice, these, for anyone, you might just say, oh, those are all petals. But surprisingly enough, they're not all petals. There's actually 3 sepals and 3 petals on this flower. So it's kind of hard to tell because you would look at this, and especially if you haven't taken like a flower and plant taxonomy class or anything like that, you wouldn't know that the sepals and petals may be the same color and may look exactly alike, but they're not the exact same thing. So the way to distinguish between them on this tulip, because you would look at this and be like, well, they're all the same color, same shape. Aren't those all petals? No. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I'll even zoom in a little more here. But if you look, some of these are on the outside compared to others that are on the inside. So the ones on the outside, as you can see, it's got it labeled here, but they're the sepals. So there's 1, 2, 3 sepals and 1, 2, 3 petals. It's a lot easier to see in person. The one kind of above it a little bit is a little easier to tell because you can see this one has a more outer one compared to the inner ones. So the outer ones are the sepals and the inner ones are the petals. And as you can see too, in the middle there, we have our female part, and then surrounding it are male parts of the flower. And together, the sepals and petals right here are referred to as tepals. So this flower, I would say every tulip has 6 tepals. That is just kind of a really neat thing about that flower compared to other flowers. So just have one last little diagram for you guys that just talks a little more about flower sexes and how we distinguish between flowers that have both male and female, or just female or male, or just female and just male on the same plant. There's a lot of different names. So I have this perfect diagram here that I'm going to show you. All right. So you can see here, this is a nice visual representation. Whoops. So you can see when a flower has both male and female parts on the same flower, it is known as bisexual, or we also refer to it as a perfect flower. And then monoecious is when we have a same kind of plant, but with flowers that just have female parts and flowers that have just male parts. And then you also have your female flower, and then you have a male flower. And then we have dioecious, is when you have two plants, one with just female parts and one with just male parts. And then you have your polygamous flowers. Polygamous? Polygamous. I don't exactly know how to pronounce that 100%, but I'm sure you can say it how you want. But essentially, it has flowers that have just female parts, flowers that have male parts, and then bisexual flowers as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it and looking at some diagrams for you guys. It definitely helps me stick it in my head, as well as helping to educate you guys a little more too. For anyone that's interested in learning more, feel free to subscribe and also turn on any post notifications if you want to for updates on me posting future videos, because I see myself posting a lot more videos about the environment and natural world around me, because it is beautiful and I love it and it's awesome, amazing. And I would love to share more with you guys about what I'm learning and even stuff that I'm teaching myself as I go through school. So if you want to see more and enjoy these kind of videos, let me know. And any ideas that you have of stuff you'd like to see or learn about, let me know. I'd be happy to do that for you guys. Thank you for watching, and remember, don't have a good day, have a great day.